Hey anglers, this is Bays Bass Fishing here today, and we are here to talk about bass fishing of all sorts, and I'm going to answer any of your questions that you have. So I'm just figuring out this Hangout thing, and I have never used this before, so I'm new to this, and I'm also new to YouTube, as you may know, by my Instagram. So my Instagram is at Bays Bass Fishing, and if you haven't seen that before, then go check it out. It's pretty cool in my opinion, but you may not think so if you're not, a fisherman. So if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the chat pod, and I'm just figuring this out, so I'm just gonna use my phone and I'm going to try to find questions because I don't really know how to use this Hangout application yet. So yeah. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, I don't have any I have 4 subscribers. So we'd love for you to join that list. All right, so I have a question. Oh, I just lost that thing. Okay, so I have a question from, I don't remember what the thing was. All right. How do I figure this thing out? Have a question from this Adriana and Alyssa Beauty. And what's your question? It says, hey, I have a question. That's all it says. What is a good hook for a beginner? So for a beginner, anything. You can, I would say start out with a spinning reel, and that's just the reel and a rod. You can get one at Walmart. And the hook you should use is, well, first you need to get a bullet weight, and you can get lead, tungsten. I prefer tungsten lead for beginners, and you can get that at Walmart and Academy and whatever. And you can get EWG wide gap hooks, or you could get just circle hooks. I think they're called something like that. But EWG means extra wide gap, and you can find those at your local store. And I don't necessarily use worms or crickets, but you can use that if you are fishing pan fishing. And sometimes crickets and worms work for bass, but not in particular for what I do. I use artificial bait, or I use hard baits. And bass fishing is always in freshwater. So, I mean, if you were fishing in saltwater, then that's a total different story. I don't know much about saltwater. So my first thing that I have a question that was on my Instagram in my direct message, and it asked me about my personal best. So my personal best fish is, I caught it at a place called Webb Lake, and that's just a place that we just named it that. Me and my buddies named it that. And I caught it off of my brand new reel from Christmas, a Shimano Celis setup, and I caught it off of this Zoom lizard, and this is a tomato Zoom lizard, and I just caught it off of that because of the red clay in that lake, and I saw a big splash and I caught it. So yeah, and I have more details about that, and I'll probably make a video if you want to know more about that. So I have another question, and it says, what is the biggest fish you've caught? And that's exactly what I was going to say. So 9.25 is what the scale read. And later, we figured out by using a 10-pound weight on the scale, and it was 1 pound off. So technically, it was 10.25 pounds, which is double digits, which I was freaking out about for like ever, and I still am. So how good does that topwater mouse work? All right, so that was my next question. how good does that topwater mouse work? And I had another question about the topwater mouse. What's your favorite bait? And my favorite bait, I don't really choose favorites, but if I had to choose a favorite bait or a bait to use or all-around bait, it would probably be this mouse, because this is a Spro BBZ rat. It dives about 0 to 1 feet, and if you want to use it like a crankbait, like a square bill crankbait, you can dive it shallow, or you could work it like a topwater bait, and you can do that if you want to. But I personally love this bait because I've caught several fish off of it. One night, actually, I was on a lake and I caught my best record out of the kayak. I had several bites, and I didn't land a few fish because it's kind of hard to fish in a kayak to me because I'm sort of new at it. And I caught 4 fish in approximately 20 to 30 minutes, and nice sized actually for that lake. One was about 2 to 3 pounds. I didn't have my scale with me because it was at a different place. So yeah, and my next question is, all right, you said you have a question. Ask away. Feel free to ask away. My next question was about all right, so I don't have a question right now, but I would like to talk about my giveaway that I have in the future. I'm having a giveaway in the future, and that is when I reach 100. Go ahead with your question, Adrian and Alyssa Beauty. And I have a giveaway coming in the future when I hit 100 subscribers. And once I hit that mark, 100 subscribers, I will post a picture on Instagram and post on my YouTube a video about it. And I will talk about, okay, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. So when I get my giveaway stuff in, I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it on Instagram and I'll put it on YouTube, and I will let you enter, and I will choose the winner after a week, and then that's it. That's basically the giveaway. And yeah, so any other questions? Let's see. How do you reel in a fish? Please show a demonstration. Okay, so how do you reel in a fish? I don't have a demonstration with me. I don't have my rod with me up here, but I could show a demonstration in a different video. So how do you reel in a fish? With a spinning reel, it doesn't, it's different with a different rod, because if it was a medium rod or a lighter rod, you may do it differently, because with the way that I do it, when I reel in a fish, and yes, the giveaway stuff will be posted on Instagram. So the way that I reel in the fish is, I first, if I get a bite or something, I set the hook, and then sometimes it depends on how the fish is fighting. Now, if the fish is fighting, you don't necessarily want to fight against it, because your tension may get really tight and you don't want it to snap. But what you do is you kind of bring it back in to the water, and you bring it towards you, and you kind of pull it towards you. So you reel it like, okay, hold on. So you reel it like, let me take this off real fast and take the rod sleeve off. Oh gosh. So I'm going to take my rod sleeve off. Alright, so the way that I do it is, there's a bait on here. I would just reel it in like that, and then I'd kind of set, first I'd set the hook wherever I'd feel like it'd be best, and then I'd reel it in. It depends on how the fish is fighting. So if the fish is fighting, then you kind of want to slowly and use the rod to pull in the fish. But if it's kind of slacking, then you can reel it in basically as fast as you want, like pretty fast. And then, all right, so I think I've taken on that. How do you have to set the hook for crankbaits? To set the hook for crankbaits, it's kind of about the same with a soft plastic. So set the hook with crankbaits, you can set it to the side, to the right, to the left, up, down, wherever you can set the hook at the time, because you have a short amount of time to think of where you're going to set the hook, so you just set it. And basically, it's different with topwater and crankbait. So if it's a crankbait and they bite on that bait and you feel it, you just set that hook. But with a topwater, if the fish jumps out of the water for your bait, that means that they're kind of biting for your bait. And so you kind of want to wait a little bit and then set the hook. Just wait a little bit, just a little bit. And so, because you got to get that fish to get it in the mouth. You don't want to set it right away and then flip the fish off the thing. All right, so, okay. And I showed you. Okay. How many people were watching your live stream? 5 people, 5 viewers. That's what it says. 4 viewers. All right. So, go with your question. 5 viewers now. Go with your question. All right. So, something that I wanted to say was my brother has opened up a blog not too long ago. It's unkerdowncom. Go check that out. You can ask him questions and he'll get back to you about that. And he has I'm not answering that question. What are these? Okay, I get. What are these? This is a topwater rat, a BBC 30 rat, and this is a Zoom tomato lizard with a bullet weight on 12-pound test line, Seagar 12-pound test line. All right. Any other questions? I will take them whenever. I'm checking right now. Alrighty, so okay, so another question was, how do you work this BBZ rat? The way that I like to work it, because I told you that you could work it 2 different ways. You could work it like a topwater, slowly. You could kind of jerk the rod, move it with it, and I think I have a video on Instagram. No, I don't have a video on Instagram. But you can slowly reel it and kind of jerk it with it. You probably can't see that very well. And kind of move your rod with how you reel it and make the bait move slowly. So the tail it goes left to right, and the fish just usually love. Where I was fishing it, and I was fishing up in these tall kind of trees, and it was moving around, and the fish just jumped out and jumped out. Another way that I have found that is successful is fishing it like a square bill crankbait, where you reel a little bit faster. I know I have a chatterbait on here. But you reel a little bit faster, and you can jerk your rod a little bit more to make the rat go deeper in the water. But yeah, so that's how you work that BBZ rat. And yeah, so all right. Any more questions? I'm going to check right now. How much bass equipment do you own? That is a very good question. I own, actually I used to have like 4 tackle boxes that were filled, but then I got some utility boxes which are like bigger, and I organized it to where I have a jig box, I have a hard bait box, and then I have another box with just terminal tackle, filled with terminal tackle. It's a little bit smaller, and it has some chatterbaits and other baits in there with it. So yeah. And then I have my soft plastics, which is a huge assortment, and that's just in a different pouch in my bag. And I have three rods, which I have this lose reel with me right here. And then I have a Shimano Sinica with a Abu Garcia Vengeance, and that works. That's my favorite setup that I have right now. And then I have a spinning reel setup. It's a Daiwa combo, and I don't use that very much, only when I'm throwing light lures, like weightless stuff, and that works pretty well with me. How do you decide with what kind of bait you use? That's a great question. Deciding with what type of bait you want to use depends on what the weather patterns are. So like if it's been hot that day, then they usually are shallow. But if it's supposed to be hot that day, or if it's just in the spring and it's early in the morning, or it's just in the time where they're not going to be deeper, then topwater baits work well. But crankbaits work well in that post-spawn area, and post-spawn is when the bass are not bedding and it's after like that cold period. So post-spawn would probably be about right now, but some lakes and ponds are still spawning because they have that late spawn. So yeah. But another way is water clarity, which means if the water's really clear, like it depends on the color. So like if the water is super clear, then you might want to use a white or a like grayish or something like that. And if it's like musky, I mean not musky, if it's like brown or stained or darker, like if it's really muddy, then you can use something like black and blue or chartreuse. And this, I think I have this black and blue chatterbait with me, and it works real around grass, this black and blue, and it has a lizard trailer on it. And that has been very successful to me, just black and blue. It's my favorite color to work with the muddy water. And then I have chartreuse, and I don't use that very much. But yeah, so I'm going to look at my next questions, see what I have. Alrighty. Whoa. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Alright, so my next question is, oh, I already said that. My favorite lure is this Pro BBC Rat right here. That's my favorite lure. And I've talked about that a lot. So my next question is, let me look it up. I need to look at the chat pod real fast on my phone. Here it is. Do you ever use beaver plastics? Yes, I do. I use them like sort of like how I use them is I use it more like a crawl imitation, and so you know, kind of in like the wood and stuff like that, the timber, and that's how I've been successful. And I don't have a schedule right now about my channel because, you know, summer and school and stuff like that getting in the way, if I have vacation or stuff like that. But I know that I am, not next week, but I'm pretty sure the next week after that, I am going up to North Carolina, and I'm going to try to catch some trout. So if I have time then I will try to make a video about that. So yeah. And then probably by the end of the week or next week or something like that, I will make just a local pond video. And yeah. So what does bass spawn look like? So when the bass are spawning, which means they are spawning more eggs and more fish. How to look for that is you look for beds, which are kind of like grassy and little beds. You can kind of just tell that they're beds, and they're usually a fish. Like if you get up close to a bed, usually a fish will dart out. Like the male usually leaves first, and then that's how you can tell it's a bed, and that's how you can usually tell that it's spawn. But sometimes it may be misleading. If you see a bass dart out, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a spawn. You kind of have to look for the beds, or just look up the time. Like if it's like usually in the early spring or in the spring or around this area from about February, March, around there, because it could be before spring, to June, before summer starts. And usually that's when the spawn is. I have another question, and it says, can you give me fishing lessons? I guess I can. I guess I can. But yeah, I guess I can. I have another question. All right. And it says, what is the best way to get started fishing? The best way to get started with fishing is probably just get a spinning reel or get a reel and get started out like that. So if you've never fished, then it's best to look up some YouTube videos or read about it before you ever go by the water. So like it's best to go out and just go and research a little bit about bass fishing or any type of fishing that you're doing, and get kind of some get some knowledge about it. And yeah, just get some knowledge about it. And then I encourage you to buy yourself a reel. Probably a spinning reel would be best to start off with, because a spinning reel is like an open face reel. You just flip the thing over and you hold your finger and you throw it out, because it takes a little bit of experience with fishing, and to start with a bait caster. And usually when you're with a bait caster, they're more expensive. So that's why I'd rather start with a spinning reel. Have you ever used a beaver cocoon? All right, so let me just explain to you what a beaver cocoon is. A beaver cocoon is when the line gets wrapped around the front hook on a crankbait, and that's all a beaver cocoon is. And yes, I get beaver cocoons all the time. All right, so next question. There's no question. That's weird. It's like it just deleted itself. All right. Next question is, that's another question. Next question. All right, I don't have any questions right now, so I'm just going to talk about my channel a little bit. So send in some questions. Any questions you have, I'll try and answer them the best I can. So my channel just started out yesterday or the day before. I can't really remember, but I've had it planned out for quite a while. and it was based off of my Instagram called Bass Bass Fishing, and I had some things there and some videos, and I was like, how am I gonna do this on Instagram if it's only like 15 seconds every video? And I didn't want to spam up the Instagram, so I was like, why don't I get a YouTube where people can watch videos and learn about fishing? Because I want to teach people about fishing, because fishing is great. Bass fishing is just a great thing to do, and just seeing more people go out and bass fish is just amazing to me. Alright, so yeah, and that's why I created this channel. Next question is, here it is. Do you use swim jigs? I actually have never used a swim jig. Well, I have, but I've only used it once, and I didn't get many fish. I got like 1 or 2 fish off of it. I kind of used it like a bait fish imitation, because I had a trailer which was a swim bait, and that worked pretty well. It was a black and blue flake, and I used it in muddy water. And I used the swim jig in muddy water, so yeah. What is a bass? I just can't answer that. I'm sorry. A bass is a fish, and it's a species of fish. There's largemouth, there's smallmouth, and there's many other different types of fish. That was a stupid question. All right. So, thank you for watching this live stream. If you have any more questions, I would try to answer them the best I can. I will contact you through Instagram or something like that. I will send some more videos out. So if you have any questions, I will make a video about them. If I can, if it's like a question about baits or something like that, I can make a video and teach you about how to use the bait. And then anything else you have about fishing, just contact me and I will try to answer your questions the best I can. So thanks for watching this live stream, and that wraps it up. I hope everyone has a blessed night, and make sure to go out and fish. Have a great day.